You can't see it, you can't hear it, and you can't even tell when it turns on or off. But it's super deadly to all electronics. Can you guess what it is? Well, I'll tell you. It's a high-powered microwave. And this counter space weapon is about as close as it comes to magic. So, what is a high-powered microwave weapon? Well, firstly, it's important to understand the purpose of this type of weapon, which is destruction. And how is that achieved? By overloading the electronic circuitry of the intended target. Now, like the word implies, it is a high-powered device that emits microwaves. How high-powered? Anywhere from 100,000 to over 1,000,000 times more powerful than the microwave you may have at home. And what kind of microwaves are we talking about? Well, not the ones that you buy for your kitchen, but rather the frequencies or bands ranging from 300 megahertz to 300 gigahertz. Okay, so now you have such a device. What next? Well, now you need two pieces of critical information to successfully destroy a space asset. Firstly, what is the frequency the target is operating on? So again, anything between 300 megahertz and 300 gigahertz. And secondly, where is it transmitting from? In other words, does it have an antenna or a receiver? Now, knowing the operating frequency of the target means that you can couple and overload the electronics by emitting intense pulses of the same frequency. Now, this is made easier if there is an antenna because you can focus your attack. This is called a front door attack. And if there is no antenna, then you can target the gaps in electrical connections and shielding. This is called a backdoor attack. Okay, but what if you don't know the operating frequency of the target? Well, you can emit microwaves through a wide range of frequencies, and while this makes coupling more likely, it means that nowhere near as much energy can be transmitted. So the best case scenario is a disruption or degradation of the target's electronics. So, why use a high-powered microwave weapon? Well, firstly, it's difficult to attribute a high-powered microwave attack. And secondly, it does not create any immediate collateral damage. So it's an excellent, and I mean excellent, non-kinetic counterspace weapon. In fact, it shares almost all of the same characteristics of a permanent laser attack. But it's not perfect. The damage caused is difficult to control. So this means that while the attack does not create any collateral damage, because this is a non-kinetic counterspace weapon, it does mean that the attack space asset can become disabled and uncontrollable, meaning it could collide with another space asset. Now, that, of course, will create space debris. So let's get into the features of a high-powered microwave weapon. And when analyzing counterspace weapons, it's important to consider 5 main characteristics: reversibility, attribution, awareness, attacker damage assessment, and collateral damage. So let's do it. The damage done may or may not be reversible, only because the attacker may not be able to control the severity of the damage done. In terms of awareness, only the owner of the space asset will know the extent of the damage. Why? Because there are no visual cues for the public to pick up on, and the same goes for the attacker, in fact. So the attacker's damage assessment is limited. Only if the space asset begins to drift in an uncontrollable manner will they know that the attack has succeeded. Finally, collateral damage. Now, it won't be immediate, but it is highly likely, owing to the fact that controlling the effects of this counterspace weapon can be difficult. Okay, homework done. Now let's get into the interesting stuff. Has this counterspace weapon ever been used? What are the dangers and consequences of such an attack? And what does the future hold for this counterspace weapon? Now, to do that, follow the link in the description, sign up to a level, and I'll get straight into it. Thanks for watching.